welcome to Etihad Stadium for Day 3 of the NAB AFL Combine. The nation's best under-18 talents are here, showing their wares in front of the 18 club recruiters. I'm Mark McGugan. This is AFL.com.au's draft expert, Cal Toomey.
Hello,
and
Mark.
We've got the beat test going on behind us right now, Cal. We'll talk about that in a second, but first let's skip back to last night, which we haven't covered, the 30-metre repeat sprint. Can you take us through who did well there?
Yeah, Nathan Freeman was a standout last night, 23.62 seconds in the repeat sprint. A really phenomenal effort, one of the best efforts we've seen at the AFL Combine throughout its history. He showed again that he has the pace and endurance to be one of the elite midfielders of this draft crop. But a guy who came fourth was pretty interesting, Daniel Flynn, the Irishman. He's been signed today by Port Adelaide on a 2-year deal. He's got athletic capabilities that are pretty outstanding for a guy who's 19 and in his position, and he can kick the ball as well. Pretty exciting top.
And we believe he also showed a little bit of that Irish humour, Cal.
He did. He caught up with the media today, and when asked if he'd spoken to any recent AFL converts from Ireland, here's a listen to what he had to say.
No, I wouldn't have. Would have kind of talking to there's a fella called Ty Conole.
Yep.
Yeah, bald fella. Yeah. He's very good. He's very good.
So that was Daniel Flynn there, Port Adelaide's new international rookie. Cal, let's move on to today. First of all, the skill testing. This is really important in the eyes of the clubs. Goal kicking test, clean hands test. Talk us through it. Who were the standouts?
Yeah, really important time for the clubs to look at these guys who are kicking and handballing under pressure, and a really important time for the players too to impress. Those guys who are natural footballers got their chance to shine today. One of those is James Cheetahs. He won the kicking test with 29 points out of a possible of 30. Michael Aptness, Chris Kane and Jared Ellis scored a perfect 5 from 5 in the goal kicking test to draw that one. A really good effort there. And clean hands test was another draw as well. Ben Lennon, Luke Reynolds and Chris Kane all on 24 points out of a possible of 30. So there's some guys there to keep an eye on throughout the next couple of weeks as we move closer to the AFL draft.
Now, you mentioned Ben Lennon there doing particularly well in the skills component, which was interesting because he did catch up with the media earlier today and said that had been a real focus for him this year.
Last year it was drummed into us when we went to Hawthorn with the AIS, and Alistair Clarkson spoke to us and he said that if you can't kick, you can't play. So that's when it really, I guess, the penny dropped, and yeah, it was one of my major efforts was to concentrate on the kicking, and yeah, I've done that, I think so.
Tell us about some of the conversations you might have had with clubs this week.
Yeah, so different clubs have different ways of going about it. So yeah, a few have been positive, a few have been a bit negative, but all in all, it holds you in good stead, and particularly with Melbourne, that was pretty intense, but yeah, held me in good stead, I think.
So that was Ben Lennon there. Cal, where do you see him going in the draft?
I thought for a long time that he'd be a top 10 pick, and I still think that he probably won't break into those first 4 or 5 picks, but I think the next 5 or 6 after that where he'll land. He could go anywhere from the Brisbane Lions at pick 7 to potentially Collingwood at pick 10. I think all of those will be opportunities for him there.
Okay, well, speaking of the Lions, they do have pick 7, and we caught up with their recruiting manager, Steve Conole, a little earlier.
I was starting to put the a few boys down on the board, but it's really going to depend a lot on trade week and where we finish, and then probably with Justin and the type of player that he feels will be best for the club with that sort of pick 7. So we're a fair way off deciding the exact player, the exact type of player that we're going to use with that selection.
There's been a lot of talk about guys potentially leaving the club. Do you think if they do, you'll be looking for more picks to boost in that top 20 bracket, or is it more about players?
Oh, I think it'll be an individual decision based on each of those players, and Rob Kerr, our talent manager, deals with the trade, so I'm sure he'll be very busy over the next few weeks finalising that.
How do you feel about this draft generally?
Oh, I think like all drafts, there's a fair bit of talent, especially in the midfield group. There's definitely some high quality midfielders, and there's a couple of tools mixed in with that. So I think with all of it, if you can get some picks inside the sort of first and second round, you're going to end up with some really nice players.
Couple of issues on the bidding front next week. You're the pick before North Melbourne. It's been made about Luke McDonald. Do you think you're in a position to make a bid on him next week?
Oh, I think we'd certainly love Luke at our footy club. There's no doubt about that. I've seen Luke play a lot since he's been a young 14-year-old out in the Q area, so always been a big fan of Luke, and I'm sure one of the clubs around our selection and just prior will be interested in putting Luke on their list. So it'll be an interesting morning on Monday morning, I'm sure.
So Steve Conole there, sure to be a very busy man over the coming weeks and months with all the movement at the Lions. Now let's get back into the testing. We'll touch on the beat test. There are around about halfway through, Cal. We'll have the full results for you tomorrow, but from what we've seen so far, who's been the standout?
Ben Brown, the VFL prospect. We spoke about him yesterday in the agility test, which he starred in. He was a top 10 performer there. I think he'll be again in the highly rated in this beep test. He scored above 13.
And of course, everyone's eagerly awaiting Billy Hartung's arrival on the dance floor for this beep test. Yet to see him, so we'll have his result tomorrow, thinking he might give Bradley Hill's record a shake.
The pressure's on. We've been talking about it all week. I don't think the pressure's going to get to him, though. He's a guy who can run and run and run and just keep running. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
And what else have we got for us tomorrow?
Tomorrow, all the players will go through psychomotor testing in the morning. That's a little bit of testing where the clubs get to see their analysis and results under pressure. And then the final test of the combine, the closer, it's the 3 kilometre time trial. It'd be interesting to see which of the top sort of rung of players do run that test. Not all of them always do it, but I think Josh Kelly and Nick Robinson, a WA prospect, will go head to head for that one.
Josh Kelly having won last year, of course, so
yes.
Trying to go back to back. All right, that's all we've got for you today. Make sure you do tune in tomorrow for day 4, the final day of the NAB AFL Combine here at Etihad Stadium.